Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilco. This is their part number 7201-TK2-04. This is a mortise cylinder. It's a thumb turn style mortise cylinder. And a fairly common item. The only thing that I would say might be slightly less common is just the combination of the Adams Rite cam along with the satin brass finish. Now, not really unusual, but this tells me that it's not probably being used on aluminum storefront because the finish wouldn't match. They could have a application of Adams Rite style hardware on steel doors, wood doors, custom doors, that the finish would certainly match, and the majority of the Adams Rite line takes their MS cam. MS stands for maximum security from Adams Rite. This is not the only cam that would work with Adams Rite material, but it's almost the only cam. There are two others. And the fact that the cylinder is a little bit longer, could be cylinder guards or trim rings. Maybe it's an unusually thick door, something of that nature. Now let's dissect the part number. 7201, that means it's a mortise thumb turn from Kaba Ilco and that it's 1.25 inches in length, measured from the underside of the head to the back of the cam is how that's done. The TK thumb turn is what that means. They can also do an ADA style thumb turn. This happens to be just the standard thumb turn. By the way, this is the, we'll get to that. The 2 in the part number means it's a number 2 cam. That's that Adams Rite MS cam, okay? The 04, that means satin brass. And by the way, that scratched surface that you see here, that's just the peel-away protective covering over the actual brass material. Okay, so there's no defect in that. Scalp plate is what that very thin piece of brass covering the just the extruded mill brass body is what that is. It's a very thin piece of brass that's been finished. That thumb turn as well. So again, where would you use this? Well, the length kind of makes me think of an older style mortise lock, like an old cast iron style mortise lock from the 1920s or 1900s or 1880s. The cam is all wrong, so it's obviously something Adams Rite related. Tells me custom doors most likely because of the 04 finish. Let's switch to the screen view and take a closer look at some of the supporting documentation. So here's the item that we are looking at. 1.25 inch satin brass. The Adams Rite 863A. If you were to search our site for Adams Rite or just 863A, you'll find that cam, and there it is. Okay. Speaking of the cams, they're all listed here as well. There are a good 20 or so different cams for different applications of locks. Schlag locks, Yale locks, Falcon, Marks, the different Adams Rite style, fantail cam, meaning the lorry fantail cam, etc. Corbin, just the clover leaf that they call it. So lots of different cams that you can slap on there. If you need a 7201 TK something, that something is the cam part number, and they're listed here, cam 1, 2, 3, 4, and you get the picture. So this is, we're doing a cam 2, obviously. You could, if you need a different cam, because you don't find a, let's say you're looking for a Schlag L cam, a 15 cam, you're not going to find a 7201 TK15-04 in the site. You could pick up that cam separately right there through that link there in the table. Machine from solid bar brass, that's to be sure. Very high quality componentry when it's made of solid brass. Now, supporting documentation. The link here to the manufacturer's page, that's going to allow us to review not only all of the Kaba Ilco products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the brass cylinder manual, which is here. And as we pull that up, the mortise cylinders are in pretty close to the front of the catalog. And they're going to start right here on page 6. And what they have here is the legend by which to go about ordering this material. So we're dealing with a 7201, and we get down to the 7201 thumb turn, 1.25 inches. Okay, you need a 1-inch thumb turn? Sure, 7161. You get the picture. Turn knob is what they're calling these. ADA turn knobs. If you want it to be a handicap compliant style of that turn knob, it becomes an ADA 7201. All of the other cylinders, in terms of mortise cylinders, are listed here as well. Different lengths, different accommodations for how they're drilled in terms of chambers, key and knob cylinders, etc. As we go back to our part number 7201, we don't have a keyway, but they're going to call it a TK, and it's not even listed here really, but it's a TK is what we're doing here. Then our cam, we're doing a 2, and that's on page 2, and I showed you the table. And that's basically all this information here. Then we have the finish, which is 04, and then any keying. This is a thumb turn, so no keying. Here are our finish codes. Polished brass, satin brass, antique brass, oil rub bronze, Duracolor brown, black, all the other finishes. Now, most certainly these are all not stocked, that's to be sure. So be mindful. The common finishes are in stock. Your polished brass, satin chrome, probably oil rub, Duracolor brown. You know, those would be in stock. The rest of this manual, it's really a catalog, and their old version of the catalog had a lot more images to show. This one's not nearly as visually accommodating as the prior versions. So, unfortunately, there's not a lot to see there. You kind of have to know what you're looking at. Now I just hopped over to the prior version, which is the 2014 brass cylinder price list, and it's here. It's quite outdated at this time, but it shows lots of images of these items. At least they do a much better job of showing you photos, you know, or at least images. The reason I pull this up also is because my favorite lock, my favorite deadbolt of all time, is the Kaba deadbolt. And why is it my favorite? Well, it's my favorite because it's modular, meaning the thicker door that you go, just increase the length of your cylinders. Not a problem. So you can, if you've got a 3-inch thick door and you are in need of a deadbolt to ship tomorrow, that can be done. We're going to use a Kaba Ilco, and we're going to go with the proper length cylinders. That's your ADA thumb turn. Okay. Another reason I like this lock very much is because you know that there's different back sets, the edge of the door to the center of the hole. Well, there's 2 3/8 and 2 3/4. You may have heard of 3 3/4 and 5-inch, 12-inch, 18-inch, whatever. But 2-inch is pretty uncommon, and they'll do a 2-inch on this lock. So that's really nice if you have the last time I sold a 2-inch, the client had a pair of 2-foot doors going outside, exterior on his home, 4-inch styles. That allowed him to nail that lock right in the center of that style on his door, so it looked really great. Okay. On this manufacturer's page, there's also a link to the key blank catalog. I would very much recommend that you, if you ever need to deal in key blanks, this is a highly useful document because it will allow you in section 2, which is where the North American locks are, to scroll by manufacturer. Okay, here's Corbin. There'll be pages of Corbin. You'll be able to see the broaching profile of what the cylinder looks like. And while Kaba Ilco may not make the cylinder that you, the key blank you require, you can always use this document to great effect to at least eliminate what you think it's not, etc. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Okay, in conclusion, very nice quality cylinder, and that's because it's made of solid brass components. Very nice machining tolerances, very tight machining tolerances, very smooth operation, especially when you're pinning the material. I opt to use Kaba Ilco in almost all instances, and the only time I won't is if they don't make it or the lead time to get it does not accommodate my requirements. I just had to quote a project of 12 Adams Wright bottom rail door bolts, the MS 1861. Client needs small format cylinders on the outside, mortise thumb turns on the inside, a 65mm thick door, everything in black. I'm not going to be able to get my hands on Kaba Ilco small format cylinders at the right length in the amount of time necessary. So, but I always check Kaba Ilco first, and would suggest that you do so as well. I can't begin to guess how many hundreds of thousands of cylinders must be in stock at all times, or millions of this material. Very high quality product. An exceptional gentleman there in technical support for cylinders. He has helped me without fail, and he is in a certain way, to a certain degree, responsible for passing the certified registered locksmith exam with Alella. So to him I say thank you. Any questions on the 7201TK2-04 or any other Kaba Ilco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.